Chapter 51. China, again. The Paralympics. A dream? A hope? I am less certain now. I had expected a lot from the Olympic and the Paralympic Games, but the dream experience had not been quite as I had expected. I suppose it all arrived too early. The life I had desired seemed somewhat nullified. A disappointment maybe, but a number of useful things were learned from this event, which can only help me on my way to the dream Olympic gold medal. The Paralympics were going to be held in Beijing, China. 10 years after my first introduction to China in Shanghai, I was returning to the place where I competed last time before the MS began. What am I feeling? Nerves. I was absolutely scared stiff. Why was I being forced to go back? Was this a way for me to get over the demons that I had had since getting the MS? Or was it a way of rubbing my nose in it? Shanghai had been a wonderful trip except for the swimming part, which was laden down with MS and regret. China had therefore been a good experience for me, but it was always been linked to swimming badly and therefore not doing what I was meant to do. It happened again. The Paralympics were a huge disappointment for me, and right from the start, everything went wrong. Maybe I should have foreseen what was going to happen. Here is a list of the reasons I believe I didn't swim as well in Beijing as I would have liked, other than the obvious psychological fact that it was in China. 1. Not enough training. I think that the 7 or 8 weeks while being coached by Billy were fantastic, but there was no way I should have believed that I was ready to swim my best ever races, having had such a small amount of training. I didn't have the stamina to keep on going, as was proven in all of my races. I hit the 75 metres very much ahead of the field, but then fatigue played its part, and the small amount of training did not give me the extra energy I needed to finish the races. Number 2, incorrect coach. The weeks of training with Billy would have finished nicely with the correct taper, but instead I was awarded a different coach to work with when we went to the holding camp in Macau, and then on to Beijing. If I had been allowed to have my own coach training me in Beijing, I believe it would have been an easier fight for me, but instead, I was stressed from having to change coaches, and then having to get used to this new coach before even starting to think about why we were in Beijing. I think this was a major player in me swimming badly, or at least not up to my own high standards. 3. Routine. I work off routines. I tell my mind what is happening, and generally my body follows what it is being told to do. If anything changes or goes off routine, then the body gets confused and does not do what it is meant to do. It has taken me almost 10 years to understand my body, and I don't expect everyone else to just know what is right or wrong. But please just try to see it from my point of view. My body has been through stages of not moving properly, of not being able to see, of having no bladder or bowel control, of being completely paralysed for quite long periods of time. Please just understand that allowing me to have my routines is a small price to pay, especially when it is me paying it every single day. 4. Other swimmers. Other swimmers did a few very annoying things, such as picking speedo signs off costumes while I was trying to sleep. This was especially annoying on nights before I was swimming, and they weren't due to swim. I have learnt now to room with someone who will swim on the same days as me, or at least choose someone who will understand what I need to swim. I have learnt now to room with someone who will swim on the same days as me, or at least choose someone who will understand that I need to sleep in preparation for a race. 5. On my feet all the time. I was told on a number of occasions to get off of my feet. This was probably a good thing because it made me sit down, but incidentally, I never use a wheelchair and I'm always on my feet, so I doubt it will have made any difference. 6. Holding camp. We were taken to a holding camp in Macau for the first week leading up to Beijing. I wasn't used to being away from home for that long. I missed my family and I especially missed Adrian. At the end of the trip to Macau, I just wanted to fly home and not start my Paralympic debut. My dream was finished before it had even begun. 7. I didn't deserve to win it. I had not swum enough or worked hard enough. If I had won it, it would have been a joke and the whole Paralympics would have been a letdown. The fact that I didn't swim well let me know that the Paralympics is something you have to earn and thus need to work hard for. I had trained so hard to get to Sydney, and I would have treasured the whole experience. But with Beijing, it came too early, and I just wanted to go home. I wasn't ready to swim the races. I hadn't trained hard enough. In my eyes, I didn't deserve to be there. As you've just read, a lot of things didn't seem to be right. Everybody likes to invent an excuse to explain why they didn't perform. But I honestly feel that these aren't excuses, just relevant reasons and a combination of breakdowns that played their part in my life on the journey to and in Beijing. Beijing had been everything a Paralympic Games could have been, with many picturesque features and wonderful scenes and sights, and I felt proud to be there. But something felt wrong right from the start. When I met Adrian, we had agreed to chase the Olympic or the Paralympic dreams in London 2012. Beijing just jumped in the way. I had felt that I wasn't ready for the event, that I didn't deserve to be there, and so in some ways I should not have gone. Realistically, I was fast enough to be there, but my heart just didn't feel it. When you get an opportunity to go to somewhere as huge as the Olympic or the Paralympics, I took up the challenge with only limited training under my belt. From where I had come to where I was going, well, we all hoped for that happy ending. Many members of my family spent their money to support my races. They wanted me to swim well, even though they perhaps didn't believe I could. Not yet. I have since realised that for a huge amount of people, the achievement I had gained was a huge dream come true, and one which will stay with me for the rest of my life. I am now, and always will be, an Olympic or a Paralympic swimmer, which is something absolutely anyone would be proud of. In Beijing, I came 4th, 5th and 6th in the whole wide world. Definitely not something to be upset about, especially after only 7 weeks of proper training. London 2012 Paralympic Games. Here I come.